We're back with another episode of Ask the Edmonds Cop, and you are going to tell me about speed traps. And, you know, I'm just going to share. I don't know exactly what he's going to say, so fasten your seatbelt.
All right, she's
Tell me
all
more.
fired up about this topic. And she tells me she's not had a speeding
not.
ticket, so...
No.
all
Well,
right.
not a speed trap speeding ticket.
Okay, all right.
We'll talk later.
We'll talk about that. So there is a specific definition for what a speed trap is, and there is an RCW specifically related to speed traps. That is 46.61.470. And unlike most of the RCWs that have titles that make no sense, this one is actually entitled Speed Traps.
Imagine that.
Yeah, you get one, and it's little used. So the definition of a speed trap per the RCW is an area of a roadway measured off and marked. Okay, that's part one. So it's an area that's measured off and marked, visible to an officer so they can see the whole stretch, the purpose of which is to measure the elapsed time it takes a vehicle to travel that distance. So what this is designed for is especially maybe smaller agencies in Eastern Washington, at places where they may not have access to radars, speed radars.
Yep.
Okay, and you could simply mark off this portion of the roadway. You could mark off this portion of the roadway, measure it. You know your distance, and you would have a timer.
Okay.
And you know at a certain, the equation for speed is distance divided by time.
Right.
So you're able to figure out if it takes 10 seconds for the car to go from this point to this point, you know the vehicle has to be traveling a minimum of 35 miles an hour. You could do a whole matrix if you wanted to figure out exactly the time equals speed,
Sure.
what that equates to. So that is the definition of a speed trap. What we hear all the time is in residential neighborhoods or when the speed limit drops to a certain area, oh, this is a speed trap.
Yeah.
So it's technically not.
Wow.
So speed limits are not set by us. We don't go to the traffic engineer and say, we would like to have this section marked slower so that we can just go write a whole bunch of people tickets. It doesn't work that way. We do have our input with the city traffic engineer. Our traffic sergeant meets with them. They discuss areas where there's collisions. And the speed limits are set by the city traffic engineer. He looks at the roadway type, the available lanes, is this a residential neighborhood? A whole lot of factors go into determining what the appropriate speed limit should be, and it all comes down to safety.
Right.
So people complain this should, this is a long straightaway, the speed limit should be higher, but there's reasons behind all of it. We don't have any speed traps in the city. We have no area that's marked off. If we're going to enforce the speed limit in a certain area, because typically we get a lot of complaints about speeding vehicles, it's
Yeah.
our number one complaint.
I'm not
Speeding.
surprised by that.
Number one complaint, across the board. People are speeding in my neighborhood.
Yeah.
Usually it's you or your neighbors, actually. We find this quite a bit when we go out and we get a lot of complaints for one area and we go out and we start looking at it. Our traffic unit may go park and run radar and start stopping people for speeding. And a lot of times it's people that live in the neighborhood.
Right.
And I tell this to people all the time and they're like, I don't, but you go in autopilot.
Yeah.
If
you
you
aren't
live,
paying attention.
yeah, if you live
Yeah.
somewhere for 20 years, you don't even think about driving home.
Yeah.
You know every bump in the road, every pothole, every curve, and you just want to get home after a long day's work, and you're not thinking that you're 12 miles an hour over the speed limit.
Right.
And you are who your neighbors are basically complaining about for speed. So we don't need speed traps. We have radars. So if we're going to run radar, we just know exactly how fast you're going based on the radar as far as it goes. So the other two interesting things about it. State Patrol will use them. They have some markings on I-5 for certain areas, and they'll use their airplane. So they can clock the, so you may not see the trooper.
Right.
And how fast did you know I was going? Well, it's because the airplane may be up in the air and they have marks on the pavement, and they
Right.
can just simply time vehicles or packs of vehicles.
Interesting. Well, and it seems like those are mostly in Eastern Washington, aren't they? Those
Yeah.
They have actually signs that say patrolled by
Yep,
aircraft
yep,
or something like that.
yep.
Yeah.
So we don't have any in the city.
Yeah.
There are no areas that are marked,
Okay.
as far as that goes. So, and most of our guys, I worked the road the other day. I'd just sit on the side of the road and people blew by me at 19 and 20 miles an hour over the speed limit. You know, in a marked police car.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
yeah, so it happens.
You know, it's interesting because I think as the public, when we think speed trap, as you pointed out, there's the technical definition, right? But then it's what we think of, which is basically any place where we think cops are hiding
Yeah.
with their radars ready to give us a ticket, right?
Yeah.
And there's pockets of places where they know maybe people are going down a hill, or where they
Mm-hmm.
know they think, we think that you think, that's what, as a driver, we're thinking, oh, they're here in a speed trap because they know they can catch people going faster than they should.
Yeah.
So it's a sort of a
Yeah, I hear that all the time. Well,
definitions,
this is
right?
downhill, it should be faster. It's like, well, no offense, but that's why you have brakes. So, I mean,
You're such a stickler.
well, the speed limit's there for a reason. And, you know, it's not like we're out stopping people for 3 miles an hour over the speed limit.
Right.
You know, most of the time when I worked patrol, it was 11 over before I really even stopped people.
Right.
I mean, that's a pretty significant margin, especially in a residential neighborhood.
Yep.
So,
Okay.
yeah,
All right.
you know, but so there you go. Your
Well, you're
definition
right.
of a speed trap. So
I
probably not what you
learned-
thought it was.
No, I learned a lot. I hope you all did too. And stay tuned. Who knows what we'll learn next? We'll be
We'll
back
see.
soon with
All
another
right.
episode of Ask Edmonds Cop.